Every once in a while, a mall blindsides me with a closing announcement, and if I have any opportunity to cover it before closing, I am forced to be a vulture in order to cover it. Sunrise Mall on Long Island's Massapequa is one of those malls. At one point, I was worried I was going to just miss it when someone kept saying the mall would close in June. But lo and behold, when I swung around anyway on a whim, I was surprised to see that some unforeseen circumstances and lingering tenants were keeping the doors open. So join me in a farewell tour of this big ol' New York mall. Let's get an overview of the mall's past, and pardon any mispronunciations along the way. As the first two-floor mall on Long Island, Sunrise Mall was underway in 1972 as boasted by an ad for a banking firm called the Dime. With Massapequa Corporation, Sunrise Mall would proceed to open in August 1973. With the Gertz, JCPenney, EJ Corvette, and a rare original Macy's as original anchors, marketing ads and help wanted ads would boast of a dazzling, beautiful shopping experience just for you in Massapequa. As the mall gained popularity, newspaper ads boasted about various shows happening in the mall. Just to name a few, you could attend a 1957 nostalgia event, a drawing for the world's greatest dad, and a magic show, just to name a few. Additionally, the anchor stores were almost always offering coupons in the papers for the frugal to exploit. As time went on, Gertz would run into financial snags and would get acquired and converted by another department store chain called Stearns in 1982. Around this same time, EJ Corvettes was on the decline as well, and rival department stores were picking away at the company. While Gertz was attempting to expand before getting acquired by Stearns, Abraham and Straus would get a hold of the Corvettes location at Sunrise Mall, overhauling the anchor to their needs. As the 90s came in, Sunrise Mall would get a needed remodel in 1991 as it remained a popular destination. The overhaul would bring the mall mostly to what we see today, and would have updated multiple store facades in its 175 tenant roster, while also bringing in a new glass elevator and new escalators. Meanwhile, Abraham and Straus would get acquired by Federated Department Stores in 1994, and its 130-year legacy would come to an end as all of its stores were either converted or closed. Sunrise's location would be closed as Macy's already had a sizable presence at the mall. In light of this, Stearns opted to relocate from their current pad and into the vacancy left behind by A&S, and Sears would move in to take over Stearns' old space. Stearns' parent company, Federated Department Stores, would opt to start consolidating nameplates in the New York regions, and would close Stearns in 2001. Once again, Macy's already had an established presence at Sunrise Mall. In 2002, however, Sunrise Mall would manage to attract a Walmart, an unlikely anchor given Walmart's track record, and even more curious was that it was a rare two-floor Walmart. As a side note, in my research, I found an elevator YouTuber who would proceed to regard an elevator in Walmart as a death trap. I thought I'd just throw that in there. Meanwhile, in 2005, an Australia-based company known as Westfield would purchase the mall for the price of $143 million. What a deal. Westfield would proceed to rename the Sunrise Mall into Westfield Sunrise, and by this stage, competition was becoming fierce in the area, with a second Westfield Mall up the Sunrise Freeway, Westfield South Shore. Add on Roosevelt Field, Broadway Commons, and Green Acres Mall, as well as the growing shift towards big box stores, and the pressure was on for Sunrise Mall. This is ultimately where the decline began as it started to struggle. It's interesting to note that Walmart actually remained an anchor at the mall until 2015, when it closed. In 2017, the space would be subletted to make way for Dick's Sporting Goods, followed by Dave & Buster's. In early 2019, a furniture outlet under Raymore and Flanagan would open, sharing more space with Dick's Sporting Goods and Dave & Buster's. Unfortunately, while all of this was happening, JCPenney shut its doors at the end of July 2017, while Sears would close its doors in October 2021. I don't have to talk about what 2020 did to this mall, do I? After reverting Westfield Sunrise back to the original name of Sunrise Mall, Westfield decided they had enough and would put the mall up for sale. Although the mall still had some strong names, it was falling out of favor and losing more stores than it was gaining. And in February 2021, Urban Edge would purchase the mall for $29.7 million, a whopping $113.3 million difference from what Westfield paid. Immediately, Urban Edge would announce a redevelopment plan to turn Sunrise Mall into yet another outdoor lifestyle center, and would obtain approval from the Citrus Heights City Council in November 2021. February 23, 2022. Judgment Day. Urban Edge announced that the mall would be closing at an undisclosed date as they move forward with a redevelopment plan. Although a hard closure was announced in June, my visit in July shows stores still present within the mall, although they are few and far in between. Perhaps tenants are waiting for their leases to expire first. Whatever the case may be, I wish Urban Edge well in their efforts to transform the Sunrise Mall. It's always a shame when you see a mall this size die out in what is still considered a strong area. Long Island still has some money to its name, despite the turmoil New York has gone through over the 2020s so far. I looked through a few avenues to see what killed this mall, and really only two things really came to mind as nothing obvious was jumping out. The first, as I mentioned before, was competition and saturation. It's no secret that some areas become heavily overmalled, Sunrise included, and not to mention the added pressure from big box retail. But another thing I noticed was that Westfield owned two malls down the road from each other. In a way, it almost seems like Westfield treated South Shore as its baby while neglecting Sunrise Mall. It's also worth noting that Sunrise Mall went up for sale as far back as the mid-90s. so something was presumably already going wrong back then. At the same time, while this mall did get a needed update in the 90s, you still had a number of vintage and retro storefronts in the form of the anchors. That Macy's is perhaps the most obvious, and it's actually a little jarring. How much of that branding and architecture is original from 1973? I personally think it looks pretty cool, but this is a region that would demand modern contemporary. Although the frugal and the brand loyalists might not care all that much. Personally, I think the mall is just what it needed to be. It's not overly zany like a Mills mall, but it's not oppressive like a Cafaro mall or Hull mall. It's an overall pleasant mall of the 90s in my eyes, and that's good enough for me. Seeing the mall in this state, however, it invoked a certain feeling in me that, in all of my travels, I have not felt all that much. I can only name a few malls off the top of my head where it really resonates. Richland Mall in South Carolina, the legendary Century 3 Mall in Pennsylvania, my childhood mall, Oak Hollow Mall in North Carolina, Diamond Run Mall in Vermont, and even Cincinnati Mills in Ohio. I suppose the best way to describe it is a mixture of nostalgia and melancholy. Just think of all the memories had in this mall. The groups of teens just hanging out and shopping at Hollister. The little kids being dragged around Sears by their moms and dads. The first, second, or third dates had all throughout the mall. The hearts won over, and the ones that were broken. While social media and Amazon have kinda diluted most of this, back in the day, malls like these were the social spaces that you could hang out and catch up with others at. And although not as common as it used to be, you can still find malls where that hangs true. And that sense of community is something I still don't see lifestyle centers successfully emulating. Sunrise Mall would also be a good poster child for liminal spaces. The best way to describe a liminal space is something that's caught in transition, the halfway point in what came before and what comes next. And with the big trend of liminal spaces online, this mall nails it just about perfectly. Perhaps some would find this mall uncanny and creepy, but personally, I see it as more nostalgic and melancholic than anything else. You're never going to set foot in here again. You'll never meet friends here again. You'll never get to bite to eat in the food court ever again. You'll never get to see the koi fish in the fountain again. Oh sure, redevelopment will put something new in Sunrise Mall's place, but I got the feeling that it's never, ever going to be as interesting as Sunrise Mall. If there is a silver lining to that fountain, Urban Edge is at least trying to find a new home for the koi fish, and hopefully they do. As we begin to wind down, I want to thank you for joining me in this walk through the Sunrise Mall. Did you grow up going to this mall or have memories of the place? You are welcome to share those memories down below if you wish. As much as I don't want to leave, All good things must come to an end. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And as we get ready to look upon the Sunrise Mall one last time, thanks for having me, Massapequa. This is Doomie Grunt wishing you, and the Sunrise Mall, farewell.